issues from Deportees and Deportation. We're looking at the issues. What I try to do is to listen carefully to some of those who are commenting and giving reasons for the deportation. And some of them, they are quite accurate, they are quite up to date. They try to find out just why so and so was deported. I haven't been able to talk with any of those recently deported. I'd like to do so, and maybe some of you could send me some idea, some reasons as to why you were deported and what you plan to do, how you plan to do it, so that if possible, we could help you to settle down as best we can. I'm not promising that I'm going out there to have residence and have funds to hand out, but much can be done. There are those who think that the messages coming from Universal Stewardship Concern, they are coming from armchair spectator. No, much of my life from boyhood days, I'm involved in helping people, in looking at issues confronting people. And this one is quite an outstanding one. And some people believe quite an outrageous one. I heard one commentator yesterday evening comparing what Trump has done with what was done from Jamaica recently to Haiti and some others. And I believe that was quite a worthwhile commentary. We have to stop and think that different places are reacting to issues, and sometimes what we seem to think is wrong and awful from the point we're standing, sometimes it is quite reasonable. But we're not here to judge people. Most of what should be done is to look at the facts. Look at what is around us. Look at the issues. So, the one I'd like to work with this morning is somebody commented that many of those who are deported, not so not everyone, sorry, but many of those who are deported, they have criminal records, and some of them serious criminal records. I'm not here to bash anybody. As I say, I don't know their individual cases. I haven't spoken to any one of them yet. I don't know the reasons for them getting into crime. I don't know the reason for them being where they are. But let's look at the issue. Deported for crime. We can't reverse what was done. But let's say you had some criminal records and you practice criminal acts. Maybe you stop at some point, or maybe you're still involved in the crime. But even up until now, that is behind you. I worked with a young man, and he told me that he was no ordinary criminal. That is, he was a great offender. He was in the gangster world. But somehow he discovered, or the master of the universe discovered him, and he gave his heart to Jesus. He's a mighty preacher now. And most of us around, we don't think that he's just doing it to escape, but he is in it for real. Not all of you will be preachers, not all of you will be teachers, but there's something for you to do. And let's look at crime as a reason for deportation. What are we saying here? Those of you who used to practice the criminal activities, now you realize that there's no good in it. You may flourish for a time. You may obtain some big money. You may get popular in certain sphere, but you now realize that the law is laying hold of you and may be taking from you all that you try to store up. There's a nice passage in the book of Proverbs. When you read it through, you can read the book of Proverbs in one sitting. But when you go through it, saying, my son, if sinner entice thee, consent thou not. What to do with crime. I don't believe anyone was born a criminal. At some point, you were introduced to what is there. Some people find themselves virtually helpless, and so they succumb to the great temptation. They don't have any money. They don't have anywhere to live. They don't have any friend. More than all, maybe they don't have any good mentor to say, no, look, this is not the way. And so the charm, as it were, of being one of them, of being in the group, to be protected, to be fed, to be clothed, to be guided. That's sometimes very tempting. But as you notice now, it won't last for very long. And many ought to be glad that it's just a deportation at this moment. Many, as that young man told me, nearly all those he associated with over the years, they're gone. They were wiped out. Yes, the good people pass off, and we are not eternal. Nobody stays around forever and ever. But think of it in the strength of your youth, sometimes in the middle of your prosperity, at an age when you could be flourishing otherwise. You're just ruthlessly wiped out. My son, if sinner entice you, do not give consent to them. As long as you can think right, as long as you can say yes or no, turn your back on the invitation to join up with criminal. A young man came to us when I pastored the Brixton SDA church. Fine looking young man, very well spoken. When he came to us, he was coming from his brother. The brother had invited him over to England. After a few days, good feeling, nice room, etc., etc. But the brother sat down with him and began to tell him what is expected of him. He cringed and he frowned because he was not accustomed to such life and he didn't want to be in that. He told us, the brother asked him straight off, how do you think you managed to receive food, ticket to come to England, food, clothing, place of shelter? You think it just comes so? We have to work for it. And this is what we expect of you. He looked at his brother. Mark, you to cut loose from his brother. He's cutting adrift. No place to stay, no food to eat. Maybe you'll allow him to take the clothing with him. But everything would have been gone. And he made his decision. I don't want to be a part of such life. Let me go. He didn't suffer forever and ever. Yes, a few days suffering, a few days moving around, but he was settled and managed to escape. Yes, there are some moments where it becomes life-threatening. Spend the money on you, give you food, help you in every way, and you decide not to work with them. They feel that you shouldn't live any longer. But when you get out there and get in the criminal activities, you're jeopardizing your life just the same. And as we are looking at different things along the way, the master of the universe is still alive. The master of the universe is still active. The master of the universe still omnipotent, still omniscient, still omnipresent, still holy, still loving, still merciful, still long-suffering. He can take care of you. Crime is always destructive, even if you flourish for a time. You walk looking over your shoulders because you know somebody is coming after you. As was related, many, it's because they choose to follow a path of crime while they are being ruthlessly thrown out today. What will happen to them? Because some of the relatives at home, they already know that you're a criminal and they will not open their doors to you. But my advice to you is that you stop and you think and you stop fooling yourself. Come to grips with reality and allow yourself to be changed, to become a better person, to be law abiding. There are many legal upright way for you to prosper. And when I talk prosperity, I'm talking about real prosperity, and I'm talking about big prosperity. I have seen it many, 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 many times over and over again where people with nothing build a path that others begin to envy them. You don't have to resort to criminal activities. You don't have to listen to the criminals. If you listen to them before, as is suggested for some of the deportees, if you listen to them then, if you were involved, if you were an instigator, if you were one who were championing criminal activities, stop and think now. And what is left of your life, make it worthwhile. Make it good. Make it upright. Make it prosperous. And what I would strongly recommend is when you're trying to settle down, avoid areas where crime is known to flourish and where people are looking for new blood, new strength, new wits to work with, to train to be, well, let's say, good criminal. I don't know if that's a right statement. I don't know if you can have good criminal, but trained to be foremost in what you're doing. Already we prove that it's not going to help. Already we prove that somewhere along the line you will be under the law and you will be caught. For some, when they're caught, they're already on the ground breathing their last breath. They don't have the chance to experience redemption. Know that you are deported. And we hope that none of you have been so far gone that when you land in Jamaica, you're going to land in the hand of the police, and you're going to be taken into custody, and you're going to be imprisoned, or you're going to suffer some harsh consequences. But as long as you have the freedom to start again, start without the crime mentality. Well, yes, the crime mentality is there already, but start with group or friends or whatever it be, start on your own, minus the criminal mindset. And I promise you, Jamaica is still a rich country. Jamaica is still a flourishing country. Young man that was doing so well at one stage of life, he talked with me and he said, "Oh, why should I leave Jamaica? I'm making it." His uncle told me that he was building a house. It was something to look at. Promised to take me there, but up until now, I haven't been to that house. But the uncle said it's a mansion. And that young man was trying to do things in a legal way. He was doing some real estate and some other things that one could be proud of him. Still activities here. It might not be get rich overnight. And by the way, in most cases, when we try to get rich overnight, that is the time that crime seems to be something worthwhile, because you can get big money, you can get plenty money, you can be popular, you can get associates that will cover your back. But let me tell you something. Some of those associates covering your back, they are looking for what you have. They'll take what you have to, and they will wipe you out too. Crime does not pay. If it seems to be paying, that payment carries destructive elements. And even those who are not involved in the frontline crime and you're being maintained, sustained from the fruits of crime, quite often prove destruction for you. Why not settle down? Even if at your coming you have to sleep under a tree for a few nights, you have to sleep under the bridge, give thought to your existence. Give thought to what crime has done to you. Give thought to what crime has done for some of your fellow criminals, and begin to tell yourself the ways of righteousness are always prosperous and the better way. You know, there are those who seem to think that you just skip over, you just forget the crime. But it's not like that in life. Somebody will always remember that you were a criminal. So, as much as is possible from you, steer far from crime and be blessed as you try to resettle. Many of us will be praying for you, and I'm quite sure there are those who will offer some help, material help, counseling help, so that you can prosper. Be wise and prosper today.